Hi everybody, this is Black Rhino Ranger doing yet another commentary live stream. I mean, not live stream. Commentary on my birthday animation last year, and this time we're doing 2008. By the way, I hope you guys had a wonderful April Fool's yesterday. How many of you were fooled, and how many believed in some stories? By the way, this may be on April Fool's, but this one ain't a joke. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer, one of the Batman actors, may be in a better place. So, anyways, for this occasion in 2008, I did another change with the formula a bit. So over here, I am with showcasing that 2008 was when I had my first YouTube channel. It's when I had my Black Rhino Ranger channel. It was originally called Black Rhino Ranger, but then it got deleted because I was a bit of a dum-dum with copyright. And then I made some other additional accounts until I settled with BRR Games, which came out this following year. Yes, and that one managed to maintain to this very day. If it didn't maintain, then where are you watching? What are you looking at then? And also, you may notice that the background has changed a bit. Now, this was not drawn in Flash. This was actually drawn in Adobe Photoshop. And over here, you notice the background is kind of weird. I mean, it looks very 3D-ish with the book and the stuff. Now, over here, we got what is my most favorite TV cartoon of 2008? It was a bit of a last-minute decision, but I've decided that 2008, my most favorite show would be the Mr. Men show. Now, yeah, I am aware that it isn't quite faithful to the original books. Some say it was a little too Americanized, but having to watch almost everything Mr. Men related, I'm like, I can live with that. It's interesting to see the characters' different scenarios over something. I like the formula that it's each episode is an anthology. Like it focuses on different characters reacting to one particular scenario. Like for example, trying to remember, paint. When in one part of the episode it focuses on Mr. Strong and Mr. Bump trying to paint the windows, but then Mr. Bump, of course, being the unlucky guy he is, he falls down. He falls off, and apparently he becomes paint himself. And the other segment is when Little Miss Whoops uses a road painter, but then she accidentally fumbles with it, and Mr. Grumpy just follows along. And then another one in that episode is Mr. Messy decided to paint his entire house purple, and apparently the paint started to go through Mr. Persnickety's place. Now, in the final version of that episode, the paint comes in, and immediately it cuts to Persnickety fainting, or if he's called Mr. Pernickety in the UK, or Mr. Fussy in season 2. And then he goes over to Mr. Messy's house and he's like, "Hiya, Mr. Persnickety, you match my room. Mr. Messy, I am through with your filth long enough. Now you've gone mad with all this purple paint." In the storyboard version, which is available on YouTube if you're interested, there was a deleted extension version where Mr. Persnickety doesn't faint just yet when he sees the place, but he does get angry when when he realizes what Mr. Messy was doing. So then he stomps over and he's like, "You precious carpet, purple." And then after Mr. Messy was finished his paint job, Mr. Persnickety comes in again. He's like, "Hiya, Mr. Persnickety. Hey, you match my room. Mr. Messy, I am through with your filth long enough. This welcome mat is a disgrace. It might as well say, go away. And these garbage cans. Other people manage to keep their trash inside the barrels, but not you! And if that wasn't far enough, now you've gone mad with all this purple paint! I know what you mean. I thought I liked the color, but it's like living inside a grape! Think I'm gonna repeat. Thanks for stopping by, Mr. P. Yeah, that was the deleted extended version. It's quite an interesting watch if you're interested. I believe it's still there, but I find sometimes they say the storyboard reactions are funnier than the actual product. Anyways, what are my honorable mentions? There were two more that came super close. Batman: The Brave and the Bold. A more lighthearted, but still a interesting take on Batman. Penguins of Madagascar, one of DreamWorks' best television shows. The Garfield Show. Yes, I actually did find myself enjoying The Garfield Show. Don't ask. Yes. I will agree it's not as good as Garfield and Friends or the 2D specials, but hey, it's still a lot. You could say it's still a lot better than the Garfield movie with Bill Murray. I don't know. Maybe it's better than the recent Garfield movie, the one in 2024, but I don't know. The other honorable mention is The Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack. It's very gross looking and very strange and mysterious, but hey, it's a pretty wondrous. And also, without that show, we wouldn't have a big lineup of other animated shows like. It would lead the way to. It was one of the starting points for Alex Hirsch, who would later become one of the voices in Fish Hooks, and Fish Hooks would later have him move over to Gravity Falls, and Gravity Falls would be one of the starting careers for Dana Terrace, the creator of The Owl House, and upcoming The Knights of Guinevere. And also, Fish Hooks had Justin Roiland, who would be the co-creator of Rick and Morty, and also be a bit of a creep who doesn't quite care about his job, and he's rightfully fired for such. So yeah, I respect Marvelous Misadventures of Flapjack more than I enjoy watching it. Now, my most favorite animated movie is Kung Fu Panda. For a while, I didn't bother going to cinemas regularly because the crowds were like super big, and we just didn't have the patience for it. So we just pirated a bit, or we just wait for it to be released on DVD. But when Kung Fu Panda came out, I was like, I want to watch this movie. So we went back to cinemas. It was in England, by the way. And I felt like experiencing cinema again, like a kid again. And I was like, this is really great. It was like, it brought me back to when I was a kid. And Kung Fu Panda was like, I love this movie. I kept rewatching it over and over and over again. And I never got sick and tired of it. I even watched it on a plane over and over and over again. I like the sequels fine, but I think Kung Fu Panda 1 is the best of the bunch. Honorable mentions include Horton Hears a Who, perhaps the best animated film that's Dr. Seuss related. You could say Green Eggs and Ham was the best TV series Dr. Seuss related, but Horton Hears a Who, I think, is the best of the Dr. Seuss movies. Madagascar 2, a worthy successor to the first one, and it kind of and dare I say it's a bit of an upgrade. Wall-E, a nice environmental messaging film taking place in the future. And finally, Bolt. There's a bit of a crazy production with Bolt. It was like only 18 months to make, and yet it still turned out a success. Kind of similar with how Toy Story's production history was like. And then finally, my most favorite video game, Spore. the game that allows you to create your own creatures. You get to create your own creatures any way you want. You can name them. You can make them based on real animals. They're all over the place. Yeah, you can. It's all on outer space. You can also take them to in an evolutionary stage, like from cells to creatures to tribes to civilization to space, and of course the adventure packs like Spore Galactic Adventures. And it's a shame the Maxis, the creators, didn't do much else with the franchise. And I remember Will Wright, one of the Maxis key people, left the project, and I think that's what caused it to not update as much. I had a feeling that it probably would have updated a bit more in 2011 or 2012 had it been a bit more something like that. But nevertheless, I still enjoy playing the game. Honorable mentions are Ratchet and Clank Quest for the Booty. It's very short, but still quite an enjoyable story experience. I feel like it was more of an add-on than an actual full game to the Ratchet and Clank Future lineup. And then there's Crash Mind Over Mutant, the final Crash Bandicoot game for the consoles before the big hiatus. It was the last of the Crash Bandicoot games where it's like Crash of the Titans. It had that Crash looking super furry with the tattoo things, but it still had the mutant takeover possession thing. I was a little dumbfounded by some of the redesigns, but I still had a bit of fun time playing the game. And Cortex was a bit of fun playing as a mutant. But again, after that, it would be, aside from a couple of mobile games, it would lead to an 8-year hiatus. And it wouldn't be until 2016 when he would return as a Skylander. And then a year later, a remaster of his first 3 adventures. Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. This is a very controversial pick because Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe is said to be one of the weaker entries of the Mortal Kombat franchises because unlike the previous games, it was rated T instead of M, and the fatalities are not as super bloody or gory as before. But I was still intrigued with playing it. It was when you get to play as Scorpion and Batman. And I was kind of fascinated by the story of merging 2 different realms and having to choose which side of the story you're on, like 2 simultaneous stories. That was an interesting idea. And heck, this version of MK versus DC is precisely why Mortal Kombat has this type of the later Mortal Kombat and Injustice games would have this type of storytelling where each chapter focuses on a character you're playing as, like MK vs. DC has a chapter for The Flash, a chapter for Batman, chapter for Wonder Woman, etc., as well as Scorpion, Sub-Zero, Jax, and Sonya. And in Mortal Kombat 2011, there would be a chapter for Johnny Cage, for Cyrax, for Sonya, for Jax, for Katana and Jade. And MKX has a chapter for Jackie, Takeda. Or was it Jackie and Takeda? Well, I know it was Cassie and Devora and Sub-Zero Scorpion. MK11 had a chapter for Scorpion and Sub-Zero. You could choose which one. And Injustice also had the chapter for Batman and a chapter for Lex Luthor. Justice 2 had a chapter for either Catwoman or Cyborg. Sorry, just started hearing some noise at the back. And also, fellas, the Mortal Kombat vs. DC version of Deathstroke, who you may also know as Slade, thanks to 2003 Teen Titans, the MK vs. DC version of Deathstroke was one of the primary inspirations for the creation of my mascot, Black Rhino Ranger. He too carries a gun and sword. Despite Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe's reputation, I still really enjoyed it. And finally, the last honorable mention is Mario Kart Wii. It's a sorry, it's a interesting take. Basically, it's Mario Kart for the Wii, one of the Mario Kart games. I'm sure the Switch version was better, but I didn't really have the time to get it myself. So yeah, all right. So let's move on. Now here's another thing with this short. Yeah, as you can see here, here's my mascot being made in Spore. You can see there's the Galactic Adventure parts and the Galactic Adventure parts with the gun and the sword thing, and I used the creature parts. I actually made him in Spore. I did not use Flash animation. And over here is Mr. Tickle representing the Mr. Men show, and he gives something to Black Rhino Ranger, and then he leaves. And according and apparently it's a letter from a parent named Jonathan Petit. If there were a special sporting event throughout the world you'd like to attend to or once in a lifetime, will it be and why? And I said probably the Olympics. That's the only thing I'd be interested at sports related. I have been to a sports stadium before. I have been to a couple of football events or soccer events for Chelsea versus Newcastle and Derby versus Midland. And over here is Po from Kung Fu Panda representing Kung Fu Panda. And he gives me something else. I will admit this is not the best. This is not my best way of drawing making the character. And the coloring options were quite limited, let's just say. And the ticket says, see John Petit's favorite TV cartoon, animated movie, or video game. You see it. The subtitles were made with Sony Vegas. And over here is a creature from the sport thing. Also, one more thing. The setting I chose is from an actual already made adventure by Maxis. It's called Adventure Town, where it showcases how you start off as a captain and stuff. So I went in, I meet this guy, and I give him the ticket, and I enter in the museum, and the museum showcases JP's favorite animated film of 2008 is WALL-E, and his favorite cartoon that year was Spectacular Spider-Man. And their favorite video game is Mario Sonic at the Olympic Games. And I said to them, I did play a bit of Olympics, Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, but I never owned it. It was in a friend of mine's house. I did own the sequels, though. Sorry, I'm just talking. So I just stared at the things while doing. Some of it is voiceovers, but others are subtitled. I didn't have time to record everything. So over here is supposed to be a Grox ship. The Grox are the main antagonists of the Spore games. You either have to really be friends with them, or you want to destroy them, and they're quite a powerful nation. So then I got a package. They just dropped it, and then kaboom! So here was the Paris Olympics 2024. Remember, it was made last year, and just in time too. And over here are some of my own creations. Here's Black Rhino Ranger, of course. Here's his best bud, Cool Croc, of course. Now here's another character you may not be familiar with that much, but you may notice in some of my other animations. Her name is Frognix. Yeah, you might have seen her in my Into the Darkness animation, but I also redrew her a little bit. So she's supposed to retool her a little bit. She's a flying frog, but she has mechanical arms that give her the ability to create fire and Here, so she uses it like a pistol, like can use it as a fiery shield, and she can use it as a fiery gliding. She's a flying frog after all. Flying frogs glide. When not in use, unfortunately, it's there's a bit of limited power. You can only have it on for about 12 hours, or a little bit longer if there's extra battery. Because it uses up a bit of power and stuff. She's unable to fully use it, and when she's not using it, she packs them away in a little backpack, or she just lets go of the backpack. But her legs are super strong, and she can use her tongue to grab onto things. And I see she grabbed onto that. I plan to expand her a bit more when I make my Rhino, Black Rhino Ranger, and Cool Croc Fool series. I'm thinking about calling the show the Jet of Animals. Jet is in Justice Elite Team. Now over here is the Clueless Crane. I call him the Clueless A because when he's awake, he has absolutely no clue. But when he's asleep, he sleep talks every possible and likely outcome, that like he's a bit of a philosopher when he sleeps. When he's awake, he's in trouble, especially when it comes to insomnia. And Mayday, she's a mayfly. Notice that she has no mouth, because mayflies have no mouth and they live for a very short period of time. But she's a genetically modified mayfly who has the ability, who is like super lucky, like almost everything goes good for her. There are some days when she can have some bad luck, but other times, but most part, she's got some good luck on her side. The only thing really unlucky about her daily is the fact that she can't fly very well due to how big she is. So the person asked me to do a Mario and Sonic Paris thing, Olympic Paris thing, but I only had enough time to draw a few characters rather than all of them. They say some people are wondering how come Sonic and Mario did not have a Paris Olympics game. That is because it was revealed that after Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo Olympics, the Olympics took ties with Nintendo, and they decided to focus on NFTs to help boost the sales for the Olympics. Ugh. I don't know what's worse, selling AI-generated stuff or selling non-fungible tokens. Ugh. And I said in the video, well, it's a shame they didn't have a game on this. And that's about it. That's my commentary on the 2008 year. And don't worry, fellas, it won't be all 3D sport from now on. The next stops are going to be Flash animated again. I hope you've enjoyed this video.